up, Words for the Soul family? Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. As you can see, the Alexanders are in the house. What's up?
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Yes, the energy is there. We are still feeling the excitement and happiness from Tanya's wedding yesterday. Shout out to the newlyweds, the Arredondos. We are just so excited that you have joined us this evening. I am your host, Tara Alexander, and I am excited for what we are going to do tonight. We are talking about relax, relate, and release the singles edition, okay? The singles have some questions that we are ready to get answered, okay? We need answers. So we are ready to dive into this. But before we dive any deeper, we want to introduce our guests. Guests, you're actually your family because y'all are the CEOs of this. But go ahead and introduce yourself since I am the host, and you are my guest. So go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, I'll be glad to start. I am the mother of the elder Tara Alexander, and I just love it. We have three beautiful girls. She is the oldest, then our middle is Tasha, then our youngest is Tanya. I'm excited to have had the opportunity last month to have Bishop to host for Words for the Soul. Now you doing Words for the Soul. We talk about doing some, what is it, self-care. You guys have helped me have some time of self-care. And so I love when you said, oh, can we talk about this subject? And I love y'all to be the host. So I was like, yes, let's do it. I tell you guys are going to have a blast today. If you're not liked, tagged, and shared, whoop, let them know our conversation is going to be off the chain. That's me.
Hey, husband, that was one of the strangest introductions I've ever heard.
Yep, it's just me.
She's always, I'm telling you, she's a walking infomercial. I
That's
see
right.
this all the time.
Well, I am Bishop Trevor Alexander. I am the father to Elder Alexander. Vaughn's watching.
Hey,
Um,
Vaughn.
but you are the eldest of the daughters, and you're
Yeah.
the elder, so you're the elder. So,
Thank you, so. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank
and
you.
yeah, it is our pleasure to be on um, as your guests, and we're looking forward to the discussion. I love the questions. I don't have no answers for none of the questions, so I'm just gonna say ditto whatever she says.
Well, I first want to also give a shout out to the True Vine Singles Ministry. You guys were amazing helping me put these questions together that I will be asking on the behalf of our group. But I want to open up with a quote that I saw on Instagram, and it was of Usher in the article. The question was, what was his most difficult life lesson? And his answer was, the hardest thing I've ever had to do was to be single. And so I kind of read a little bit more on why he said that. And really, it was because he had to learn himself,
Mhm.
he had to accept himself, and then understand life with himself.
Ah,
And so I love that because, even celebrities, people that we look up to, they had to learn what it means to be single.
yeah.
Like, we just celebrated a beautiful marriage, but there are still people out there still hoping and praying for God to send them that one. But we got some work we got to do here,
Ah,
right?
love it. Love
So,
it.
with that being said, here is my first question. How do you tell a person in the relationship that is not going to work due to or because of the lack of maturity level?
You don't say that.
All right.
She making sure she got the right question up there.
Yes, mom is doing the behind the scenes as our bride is relaxing. Usually she is behind the scenes. Shout out to Miss Tony Arredondo. But yes,
There
that
it
is the
goes.
question right there.
So I love the question because there are so many um, parts to this. Because you can have somebody who is emotionally mature, but not psychologically mature. You can have someone um, emotionally mature in a degree on both sides, but they don't know how to face challenges or they don't know how to deal with confrontation. But on the flip side, you may have someone who's emotionally mature, and that surpasses you in maturity. Depends on their background. It's all about a give and take and deciding how do you handle those discrepancies. And I love the question because you are going to encounter people who are at different levels in maturity. Then you may have someone who has that Peter Pan syndrome and just does not want to grow up. And then you cannot change some people. And so you got to see if they have a goal, and if they don't have a goal, are they holding you back? And then you may have to ask the hard question, do I want to stay in this relationship? And then we talk about maturity levels, and then I'm going to pass it over. You may have someone who is a child at heart, but just fun and loving and happy, and you're a serious person. And then it goes both ways, and that helps you from being that serious person to have some of that balance out because they're fun. So you have to see how that maturity level is in all areas and all aspects in that walk in that relationship. But if you see that they don't have goals, they're not helping you to grow forward, to move forward, then you have to ask yourself, is this really a healthy relationship that I need to be in? Yes.
Yeah. We're also a dog sitting some kid and I Miss Nala over here. she was up out of my feet a few minutes ago. Let me answer that question. I think that is great, but I think the starting point for me is different.
Okay.
Meaning we have to define what maturity looks like for each of us.
Yes. Right? Yes. Totally agree.
So for me, a mature person is somebody that is able to step up to his or her responsibility. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mind being accountable, doesn't mind carrying the weight in the relationship.
Yeah.
But that's my definition. So when I'm in a relationship with somebody, we're going to talk about that just later on. If I'm just dating, it's a whole different thing. I'm not looking for them to be, quote unquote, my next.
Right.
However, if I'm in the relationship and it looks like it may well come the next whatever, right? Now you got to start having the conversation. I need to start defining terms.
Yes.
I think many times we go into a relationship without definitions, thinking the other person has to be XYZ.
Right.
But we have not sat down and thought what XYZ looks like.
Defining terms.
Right?
I like that.
So when I say this person's immature, he or she may think I'm immature.
Right.
So it's time to sit down and lay out your expectations of what a relationship should look like. I see Pastor Jeff is on the line, and I'm going back to this time. We ain't talking about boyfriend-girlfriend thing here now. I'm just talking about relationship, period. When we decided to become friends, we sat down and IHOP and broke bread, and I asked him what his expectations of me, for me, that he had.
Right.
And for a moment, he was dumbfounded, because I'm profound. And he thought about it. Then we began to talk. And then he asked me mine. And then we found out what our boundaries was. What he can do, I could not do. So when people see us kidding each other in church or wherever, we are never mean-spirited, but we know our boundaries. We know our expectations. So when we do these things, then you can develop and start working towards a maturity. So I would begin to say, before you trying to say somebody's immature, have you sat down and find what it looks like?
Yeah. I love that. And I love what Doshi said as well. It's hard, but you have to have the conversation. What I think the problem is in today's world of dating, we are scared to have the conversation of expectations. Why? Because we don't know how to have conversations anymore. We do everything through our phones. We do everything through text messaging. I mean, it's rare that you even will call the person on the phone to get to know them while you're hearing their voice or doing FaceTime and things like that. So with the lack of true art of conversation, how do you push through the fear of being bold enough and mature enough to talk about your expectations? Like, how can someone who's never really been able to articulate their expectations now begin to articulate that?
Let me take it. Go ahead.
I'm going to go back to an old teaching that we started back in COVID and kind of highlighted here and there. Build your A team, right? These are the times you use your A team. If I'm not sure how to navigate these choppy waters,
Okay.
I got somebody in my 18 who can. My Timothy. Not my Timothy, my Paul.
Right.
Because that's why I have you. You are my wisdom.
Okay.
Right? You're my knowledge person. So I come to you and say, hey, I need to know how to sit and navigate these choppy waters called relationship. And I want to know how to have the conversation. And we can begin to craft statements.
All right.
And there's nothing wrong with writing it down. Right? And then when I sit down and talk with my significant partner, boo, honey pie, whatever, I now begin to have the language to talk, right? Because of what you just said is beautiful. If I don't have the language, how can I begin to craft the conversation?
Right.
So you need people to give you the tools, the language to have the conversation. I think so. One of the problems I think that the modern generation has that my older generation didn't. We didn't have social media.
Right.
We did a lot of reading. We did a lot of talking to each other. And now my vocabulary developed before social media. Right. I sat down and listened to older people talk. I sat under the tutelage, if you will, even though they were not intentionally tutoring me. I sat under their leadership. So I think we need the seniors here to help us to craft the conversation. And hey, I'm thinking about this. How do I go about doing this?
I love the question. I'm going back to Doshi in the chat. How do you speak to that person and they don't know how to use their language? Because some people you're having to pull out just to say how they're feeling.
Right.
But and you're wanting to deepen that relationship, and all you're getting, you have to ask yourself after you have talked and you keep trying to navigate your capacity and change the way you're doing your wording, you have to keep asking yourself, are you wanting this relationship? Because you said there's a fear. I heard you said that. But do you trust me enough to be real with me and tell me, even when it's scary, that I'm not going to violate this relationship because I'm in it and it's not going to go anywhere else?
If you hear the whining, Nala's whining for something.
She's after something.
Yeah. Man, let me back up. This is
okay.
Good. First of all, y'all understand, we the Alexanders, we have a script, but we don't have a script.
Yeah, this question was not in the list, but I kind of want to dive in this a little bit more.
And I like what Donna said. Donna said, by the way, that's what she's about me, but I call it developing your wellness plan, your support team.
Yes.
Back to that whole maturity thing, right? Maturity is not about an age
It's
number.
not.
It's
Right?
not. It's
Not
really
at all.
not.
Right.
It could be 50 and the other one 25, and that 25 can be more mature than that 50.
Come on here. Come on here.
Let's not get stuck in that I'm 25 and she's 45, whatever the case may be. And this person's mature. No, maturity is really about my understanding and your understanding coming together.
Right.
I fell into that trap of thinking somebody who was older should be mature.
No.
And it was far from.
Far from.
Right. But, and here's the other piece. I think Doshi said you got to have the hard conversation. It has to be a truthful conversation.
It has to be.
Be truthful. Yes, 100%.
Now, I don't know. I've been married for a while, so I'm just being transparent. Before I met this wonderful lady here, I had the art of lying very good.
I love it.
I was a wonderful liar. What I mean by that, I played a role that showed you and I can meet your expectation, but I really didn't have no desire to do that.
Come on
right?
here, Bishop. You about to let some people know.
Yes.
Come on.
I was trying to get the cookies.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
Right. And there was a role that if you saw me prior to meeting her, I hang out with people that were liars, right? We had 4 cars between us. There were 4 of us. And every weekend we switched cars. We were never in the same car twice in a row. So if you saw me one week, I'm this car, next week another car, and you think, oh, bro got money. No, bro broke. But you saw me, oh yeah, this is one of my other cars. Yeah. I got 3 other ones just like this, right? And so I'm playing a role. Right? And you buy into the role. I'm lying. You don't know I'm lying, right? You don't know that I'm setting you up because I am not going to show you the truth.
Yeah.
because I don't want you to know the truth.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to meet Mrs. Right and Mr. Right, first make sure they're truthful, right? Find out who their partners are, who they're hanging with, because that may be a better tell sign of
Your
who they are.
association.
Yes,
Mhm.
about who they are. Because when you looked at the guys I was running with, you know,
Ah, ah,
we were lying, right? We played the role.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I could have the conversation with you, and it wasn't honest. It was not an honest conversation. So, if we are going to be truthful today and talk about these things, make sure the person you're with knows how to tell the truth. And the facade is, for those who watch
Oh.
movies,
Okay.
I watched this old movie, Blazing Saddle,
Oh, yes.
when they built their fake town.
Yes.
It looked like a great town until you got behind the wall. It was
Yes.
nothing there. Make sure you got the real thing, not the fake one.
As you were saying that,
Tara got something too.
Okay.
I can see bubbling.
Hollywood.
I am. I really am.
What people will give you the Hollywood, they're giving you what you want to see as long as you want to see it. But then when you're saying I'm going to press in, I want to get to know you a little bit deeper,
They're
I'm
run.
gonna- I'm
They're
gonna-
run.
and you have to see if they run or can they handle you wanting to be transparent, and can they handle themselves being transparent. And that's how you, in a relationship, you say you want to go to a deeper level. We're watching Nala over here. You can see we're looking over there. We're doing grandpuppy sitting, and if they cannot be, and you're just dating and getting to know that person, these are what we call in a relationship red flags.
Yes.
Those are truly red flags. I know that. Let our host say something.
No,
Frankie.
no, before you go, a liar can't stand the truth,
That's real.
Chill.
right?
That's real.
So if you press me,
Keep pressing.
right, the heat would cause me to run.
Yes.
So true.
I love this. I love this. Everything y'all said, I love this. But I got to be real with y'all.
Yeah.
In today's society of dating,
In today's society,
the men have no problem being upfront about what they want.
Yeah.
They don't
oh,
have
most of
to
them
be-
will say what they want.
They
Yeah.
don't have to be the Hollywood. They don't have to be the liars, because within the first 3 lines of "Hey, how you doing? Can I come over?" is following right behind that.
Wow.
Then
It-
that's not the
They
one you want.
become extremely bold now, to where, thank God, you know way in advance what their agenda is.
Right.
It's come to where you don't have to talk on the phone for hours or text for multiple weeks before you know what they really want. They gonna let you know within the first 4 to 5 lines after they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Literally, that's how it is now.
We both.
Man, I'm enjoying this.
Yes.
I might listen. I might buy the tape. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this
Oh.
is what's dark.
Oh.
Hold on.
Y'all are still on.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah,
I gotta put
okay.
my plug in.
Mama's got to do something. She's okay. Let me just say this, and that is great what you say. These men want it, but if I'm talking about long-term relationship,
Right.
right? I'm talking about something that I
Keep going.
want to be part of my future. I never married anybody who gave me the cookies too early. Right now, the computer is dark and we can't see, and your mama's playing
Okay.
behind the scenes. Here she go. Okay. I never married anybody who gave me the cookies too early. Okay, hold on. And okay, it's back on.
Okay.
Can y'all see us now?
Y'all never left.
Okay, Lord Jesus.
There you go.
Okay. Pray for us, saints. Take that again.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Pray for us, saints. We're so used to being the host and all the stuff behind the scene does behind the scene, and we had to move office the other day, so we're not.
Oh, God.
Okay, so back to my point.
Yes.
The ones that gave the cookies, this is transparent.
Yeah.
The ones who gave the cookies early was not the ones I'm looking for long term.
Right.
You got to make me work. Now, I have to say this, right? If you give up the cookies early, man or woman,
Man or woman.
Man
it
or
goes,
woman.
It goes both ways.
It does.
you have already told who you are.
Facts. 100%.
Done.
That's it.
Done.
So my question, as we're talking to singles and we're being real, if in that 4 to 5 lines in talking to the person and you're looking to have something with substance, stop entertaining the person.
The cookie.
Yes.
Yes.
Stop.
Go
Even
on a diet.
Even though you want somebody to talk to, I'm gonna put that in the chat. Go
Go
on the
on a
diet. Go on the diet.
Man, stop eating the cookies.
Because if you already know the person's being transparent and being real, you cannot change that
Right.
for them. So you need to find somebody different.
You said something, because I think and this is going to get into the how do I stop attracting the same type of person thing.
Yes.
We get into this, and I even talked to y'all about this off before. I feel like I have a fix-it complex where I find fixer-uppers, and then I get them to how I know they should, talk, walk, look, and I got them where I need them to be. Now they're done with me.
Yeah.
I didn't got you up here, my guy. Like you up here, and after I done blood, sweat, and tears, now you're ready to move on, and someone else is reaping my hard work. But I realize that there is something that's in me that is making me see that I want to be a fixer, even in my relationships. And so even if you're watching and you don't consider yourself a fixer, but you find yourself constantly meeting the same type of guy, regardless of the different look, he still has that same type. What are you doing, and how can you stop attracting that person to where you're now moving forward? Because this is about us moving forward, singles. We want to move forward. We want to be able to find our one. And I want to be able to say that my goals is to be married, because right now, marriage for a lot of people is not a goal anymore. It's not. And I don't understand why marriage has become it's, how I want to say it in a way that it doesn't come off too bad, but it's just something that is temporary. Like, I gave you 10 years of my life. Now I'm done and I'm ready for something else. And it's like, now, like, why would I want to make it a marriage when we can just do common law, call it a day, and keep it moving?
You know what? You said something. I not found out. It seems like in this generation per se, where we say we're loyal to a job, or for instance, you see more people are in a job for a year, go to the next year, and they're switching so quickly. Sometimes I think the loyalty and building a relationship, because it is hard work, because it is you having to be committed to some people is an ugly word, a scary word. But even in our jobs, in our relationship, it's hard work, but it's worth it. 35 years, hard work, but it's been fun. Yeah, it
was easy. It's easy.
No one, no time, no one. We're not telling that story. But, but I love him and I like him. I don't just love him. I like him.
Yes.
I like him.
Yes.
And I can truly say, when he walks by me, I still, wow, that's mine.
Let me just say this publicly. When she walked by me yesterday, I said, "Ooh, I'm back on track.
Honey.
I'm back on track. Man. Oh, she looked good yesterday.
Oh, it says Apollonia says our generation doesn't know how to stick with nothing.
Okay,
yes.
Let me go back to this point. Let me go back. Apollonia, you are so right.
Thank you, niece.
I went to a workshop. This is right on the tail, like 2021, right? It was I signed into a Zoom workshop. And these Fortune 500 people were running this seminar. And they're saying they are now looking for the older ones to hire versus the younger ones come out of the college. Meaning the younger ones come out of college may have the skill set, but you spend money training them. 3 or 4 years later, they're gone. They can spend money training the next set. They found that they were spending more money training people.
Yeah.
They've hired somebody that they can older, that's not looking so much to advance into the next whatever. And they were saving money because the older ones know how to show some loyalty, right? They know how, they're just grateful sometimes they have a job. But let's change it back to the relationship. If I am using my dating or this thing, what did we call it, dating, to sample.
Okay.
Right? I'm a sampler. When do I know when to stop sampling?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
If the sampling,
right? That's good.
If the sampling just keeps meeting my needs and making me feel good, When do I know to stop? Because I keep feeling good.
My God.
It's another form of a drug, right?
Yes.
I'm not always talking about sexual also, right? There's other ways you can get benefits from a relationship. And I love the sample. But at some point, you're talking about settling down, but are you truly ready to settle when you still got the desire to keep sampling?
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. And I love that. Yes, Pastor C always talks about stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
We,
That is
we
it.
it's almost like anything, as you say, if it's too hard, like why? Like I have a friend right now who's been in a relationship, and they have 2 kids together, and we keep asking, hey, like y'all have built a family. Are you ready to move forward and make it a official, tie the knot? And his response was, there are days when I'm ready, and then there's days when I'm not ready. I said, that's marriage, bro. There's gonna be days when you're gonna wake up and look at this person and question, why are you here? And then there's gonna be days when you're gonna question and be like, thank God, and be like, God, now I know why this person is here. But it's to the point where we no longer want that stick-to-itiveness. We don't want to stick to something that's going to cause us to be better. But even in being better, in that pressuring, it's going to be hard. It's going to be painful. Yes, you are going to cry. Yes, you are going to have intense fellowship. But why does it have to be all or nothing? Why can't we just push through so that we find our person and then grow together? Because what I think sometimes, back to the maturity level, when we're not talking and sharing what's going on, we're growing, but we're growing apart. And our maturity level isn't the same because we're no longer together.
Right.
In our growth.
Listen, look at her. Let me give you a definition of marriage from me. Right. Marriage is 2 imperfect people serving a perfect God, coming together to try to work out a relationship.
Yeah.
I am imperfect, she's imperfect, but I serve a perfect God.
Mm-hmm.
And so making God our center of focus.
Yes.
I can now begin to, she just want to get in the camera shot.
She did.
Begin to have the conversation. I start out with, I'm imperfect. Now we want to talk about what perfection looks like, right? And my 18 comes in. I need to begin, because what my level of perfection might be different from hers. Mm-hmm. We got to have the conversation. And in having the conversations, we have come up with things over the years to help us. So if I say something or do something, and she said, I don't like you right now, you know what? I've done something.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, but I do know this. We're going to have a conversation at some point, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be tabled.
Right.
We table things. And then we put it in the storage closet. You can only put something to the storage closet before it explodes, right? And I think that's part of the problem with many relationships. We table to it. And then when we're ready to handle it, we got months, weeks, years of stuff. Yes. And it comes out anger. It comes out hostile. It comes out, I want to tear you down. I want to tear your throat out. And then why do I want to be in that relationship? Why don't I want to be in somebody that wants to hurt me now? Right?
Yeah.
And so, so we really got to learn how to sit and have the conversation peacefully.
Yes.
One of the things we figured out, I figured this out for me. I don't like people yelling at me.
Right.
If you want to shut me down, yell at me. I will stop. I won't say nothing. You can yell all day long. I'm done. Right? I will sit and listen to you. Maybe I'll go to my happy place. And then what did it prove? Nothing, because we have not had the conversation. Find out your triggers.
Yeah. So with that, Bishop, and we've talked about the conversation piece, but I still want to go back and revisit the question. How do we stop attracting the same type of people? If we've talked about this so far, everything that we've talked about so far, and it has been amazing. Now that we're at the step of being mature with ourselves, right? Because we have to be mature as well. How do we now become more aware of the people that we're letting in our space?
Okay, let me begin to answer that question with this statement.
And when you finish, I go.
Singleness is not a death sentence.
Come on here. I felt that. I felt that.
Yeah.
My God. Hallelujah. I felt that. Go ahead, sir.
I think many of us in the church has taught and kind of treat people. If you ain't married by such and such a time, we're gonna find you a spouse.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not for people to do.
Right. And but they're matchmakers. And that's been throughout centuries, right? Sometimes it's culturally. For a woman, if you turn 25, you ain't married yet, there's something wrong with you. Man is like maybe 30-ish, right? But my point is, singleness is not a death sentence.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right. So back to this question, why do I keep attracting them? First, become comfortable with you. Learn you. Singleness is a time for me to get to know me and God. Right. I want to learn to walk in the garden in the cool of the day with the Lord. Right. Because God is going to show me some stuff about me because he manufactured me.
Right.
He's going to show me some stuff about me. So when I'm ready, I may not be ready for the next step. I may think I am, but I'm not. So when I'm walking with God in the cool of the day, I'm having conversation with God. I learned how to develop me without her.
Right.
And then when I got to with her, I was able to get some things. Now, I wouldn't say I was fully mature now. Don't let me get you there, other. But I learned some stuff about me.
Yeah.
Right? By being in the Word, by having conversation with my A team and all these things. I developed my A team at the time I was dating to dig into my personal life. I gave them permission. So when we dated and we went out on a date, so how did you feel about this? How long did you kiss her for? Man, you gave me permission. Oh, Lord. And then it got to the place that if I took her home, how long did you stay? You know? And when you got to come back and face those type of scrutiny, it changes your conversation and your method of operation. So if we want to know why I keep attracting the right people, bring people into your life that will analyze your methods, your dating, and then you begin to see dating habits,
Yeah.
dating patterns come to life. And then you say, why that? How did that play into this? And there may be some hidden stuff in your psyche that you may not know that somebody may need to pull out. Even get a counselor. I think sometimes we wait until something's broken to go to a counselor and say, I've got this. Why do I keep attracting these? And they're gonna go and dig into stuff into you, right?
And I saw Apollonia said being made whole, but I think about a lot of times we attract the same people. We look at because we're comfortable in what we used to do. We used to teach you there's a scent that if you're just going to be one that just don't want to be a player, you attract that. But if you have the mindset, I'm looking to settle down, I'm looking for someone who's serious, certain people and certain places that you go that attract certain things, you're no longer going to, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over, we already say it's madness. So if you used to always go to the clubs, but you want to find a serious person and you never found no one serious in the club, why you keep going to club? So
Apollonia put something in the chat. I love that she said.
And then you have to, as you get to know yourself, you're going to ask God, you want someone who is mature. You're going to ask God for all the things that you're desiring. Yeah. There's a book that you love says, Welcome Home, and it speaks of all of this. And we have to be able to know who we are. And you say, you know what, I'm not going to attract those same things. And when you see that same characteristics in that person, this is what we find out a lot of times, because we got into a relationship. Oh, I'm excited. I got somebody in my life. And then we found out, okay, they were that just like that first week. They are great.
That's the honeymoon stage. Yeah.
They see that pattern changing instead of saying, all right, I don't know why Christian women a lot of times will say, I'm going to try to fix them. Oh, it's going to get better. That's just like a restaurant. Okay, it was nice knowing you. And you just said, I thank you for this friendship, but I believe God is leading me somewhere else. And move on. We say we're moving forward. You said you're a fixer. Ladies and gentlemen, don't fix everybody. That's not your assignment.
Come on here, overseer.
So you're just dating. You got to know them. And this is not the right person. Stop it. We prolong things longer than you need to.
Let me pick this up, because
that was a word. That was a word. That was a word, girl. Hallelujah.
Joseph, Old Testament Joseph, was sold into slavery. Ended up in Potiphar's house. Mrs. Potiphar, bless you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Potiphar took a liking to Joseph and invited him into the bedroom and tried to have her way.
Correct.
She's got the power.
She has the power.
People with power find ways to abuse their power.
Yes.
Or manipulate their power. She had the power. She tried to manipulate him. He was younger too.
Come on, sir.
Into doing something he was not assigned to do.
And did want to.
And did not want to. He walked away, ran away,
Ran.
and left his coat behind.
Mm-hmm.
His coat convicted him.
Mm-hmm.
Let me use this analogy. It was a coat that got him sold into slavery.
Right.
It was a coat that put him in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question to who's listening. What's your coat?
Ooh, Jesus.
What's your coat? That coat is that something that keeps being identified.
Yes, sir.
But you have not dealt with it.
Have not dealt with.
My God. That's something to really think about. Like,
Yeah. Oh, no, I know you're not going to have to answer this.
yeah, that is something you really have to chew on because, man, that's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we say words for the soul. We are wanting to navigate and strip some things. If you're going to stop attracting the same person, you're going to have to, we said, feed our faith today when Bishop was speaking, feed your faith. You have to feed your soul, your emotional maturity, your psychological maturity, your spiritual maturity. You have to feed it.
So back to your point there, Elder Tara, if you keep attracting the same people, that might be part of your code.
Yeah.
And you need to know why that's feeding you. It keeps getting you in trouble, but you haven't identified it.
Yeah. Or you have and you choose not to.
Yeah.
You could have identified it like, because it's fun. And I willing to give up my fun and my sampling as you per se. And do I just want to settle down?
Yeah.
Because there's a fear of being with just one person to some people.
Yes. It is. It is.
It's just one person.
Yes.
It is.
Man, this is good.
I'm
enjoying my own self.
I'm telling y'all, we've only hit really the two of the actual questions.
That's it so far.
My God, I am telling you, y'all, these are legit nuggets being dropped today. Legit nuggets. So with that, before we go to the next question, because not everybody has heard your preaching on the 18 Bishop, I think it's good that you explain that, because here's why. In my age of dating, we don't do that because you have people that are either too open or not enough, right? Because everybody lets social media dictate so many things. And so now people are trying to be like, I want to focus on just this relationship. I don't want to hear anyone else's opinions because I want to make sure that I'm doing what I think is best for me and neglecting the wisdom of what the 18 brings.
Yes. Okay.
So
thank you.
I would love for you to break that down for our listeners today.
Okay. So my 18, and I'm using biblical characteristics, right? So my first 18 is my Paul figures, my mama figures, right? The oldest senior members who have lived a little longer than I have, who's been in ministry longer than me, who's been dating longer, who's been married longer, right? They're my 18. They got wisdom beside them. They didn't come out the womb speaking in tongues. They had to learn these things.
Okay, wisdom. Right? Okay.
They got the wisdom. They got the knowledge with them.
Go ahead and put wisdom in the chat. Let's just put some of these things with the 18 is. Let everybody see
these
that.
Are your Paul. These are your Paul figures, your senior members, right? And sometimes they be part of your leadership team, and it may not even be part of your leadership. But these are folks you look up to.
Okay.
Right. The next one for me is the Barnabas.
Okay.
These are my peers.
Okay.
Because you always need somebody to hang with, to talk with, and just have fun. Let your hair down.
Right.
Right. These are people I can still play with, I could do with, because it can't be all of this every single day without being able to have some fun.
Right.
Right. Your sisters, your brothers, whoever they may be. When I get with them, I can just be me, and they can tell me my feet stink, and I'm okay with it.
Right.
Then I need my Timothys.
Your Timothys, okay.
The Timothys are the younger generation I am empowered to bring up. let me tell you something about the Timothy's. They hang on to your every word and every action. They will behold you more accountable than any of the other team.
All right.
They will say something. Oh, did you just say this? And you like, I said that? Yeah, you said this. Oh, okay. Wow. So you got to get the wisdom for you. Then you have an obligation to bring others along with you.
To bring them along.
Right. So you're mentoring while you're being mentored.
All right.
Okay.
Right? So your Timothy, are you really they will hold you more accountable. Your senior people may give you a little more grace, right? Because they understand you can make some mistakes. But your Timothy's, they will hang on to your every word, your every action. And so you need them. You really need them, right?
Yeah.
So these are my three peoples in my A team.
So there's 3 people in your
Right.
A
These are
team.
my Paul, Barnabas, and Timothy.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
for
when I'm in trouble, I go to my Paul. When I'm having fun, it's my Timothy. I mean my Barnabas. When I'm ready to mentor somebody because I learned some nuggets, I've matured a little bit, got a little bit on my belt.
you pour
I
it
bring
into
somebody else.
somebody
I
else
got
in.
pour it back into somebody
That's
else.
it.
That's it. And I think that's beautiful because that's even like how it is for our program as athletic trainers. We have our preceptors who
Right.
are our mentors, and
Yep.
then our my classmates, those are my peers.
Your cohort.
And then our level ones are the people behind us. Those
Yes.
are our younger generation,
Yes.
showing them like this is what you can do. These are the people you need to talk to. So that is what we do just as our program.
Right.
So
Yes.
I love that.
Let me
And,
get
and
let-
you just broke that down so everybody can understand. You can use that naturally and spiritually in your job, in your home, wherever, to have that.
Let me share with you in another way. I believe it's Texas A&M did this study. They took students who were struggling in math in the freshman year.
Mhm.
They tested them, see what's going on, and they took those same students and went them into high school, and had them tutor students in high school.
Mhm.
Hmm.
They found out they tested students in the high school and the freshman college. When they started spending time with each
It
other,
makes a difference.
the college students, their test went up as well as the high school.
We did that in elementary. It
Because
works.
why? They went, even though they graduated and got to the college, they realized the mistakes they made in high school. They mentored the folks in high school, and so mentoring them, they mentored and they made their school grow up. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we are almost
And
45
wait a
minutes.
minute.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what?
yeah.
My
Hold up.
God.
Good
Very
Lord.
good, very good.
This has been amazing. I don't want to keep us too long, but I do just want to ask one more question,
Mhm.
Okay,
and then I'll have y'all give a couple of words of wisdom.
okay.
The question
Uh-huh.
is that I would like to do is it okay to date just to date, or should you date to marry?
Okay, you want to start? You want to start first?
It's okay to date, just to date, as long as the other person knows you're just dating to dating. Because what happens if I'm dating to date, then the other person dating to try to get married, you're starting off, there's going to be some problems, right?
Right.
You have already set up an environment where problems will come. Because when you're ready
You
to
haven't
cut it
shared your
off,
expectations.
yes, great. Because I'm ready to go and date somebody else. You're like, wait a minute. Wait. So here's a kind of little funny. So when your mother and I started dating, right? Because we used to hang out. We weren't dating. We were just hanging out buddies.
Yes.
We go bowling, we go to the movies. It was nothing romantic. It was great hanging out. But then when I wanted to date, I realized I got a problem.
Mhm.
How do you ask somebody out on a date when you already been kind of hanging out, right? So I said to her, do you want to go on a date? And I said, like, I'm talking like a real date, like a date. That was my words.
Yes.
Like a real date, like a date. Right? I still remember laughing at this because I had to define what a date looked like.
Mhm.
Because we're so used to hanging with each other.
Right.
Now I wanted to move it beyond the hanging to a date. I was like, I want to go on like a date. She
Mhm.
looked at me like, I was like a real thing. Because here's the thing, and this is where the funny piece comes in. We now had to define when we really started dating, right? Because this is how the emotional piece changes. For me, we started dating March the 7th,
Right.
Because that's when I paid for everything.
Yes.
With no expectation of her next time we go out, her paying. because we go Dutch, right?
Yes, we
Or if
do.
you pay this time, I pay the
Pay
next
next
time. So now I pay the entire stuff for no expectation of ever getting it back because that was a date. She said, no, that was our first date. Our first date was the 21st because that's the first kiss. Wait a minute. I spent all that money and now you're trying to tell me that wasn't a date, right? So that's what I said.
Expectations.
Yeah.
You got to make them
We
clear.
didn't make those. I thought I made it clear what expectation was when I said date.
Nah.
Emotionally, we were at two different levels.
Yes. And that's where the maturity talks about. So, but you know what? If you're wanting to get married, make sure you're dating someone who has that same mindset.
Yeah.
Because if they're open and frank, hey, and I just want to get your cookies, and you saying I want to date to marry, that's not the person you want to date because they're not ready for a serious relationship. So we have to receive, and when people show you what they really are, we say believe them. We have to believe it.
Yes.
So if they're not ready to get married, and you know God didn't tell you that's your person, you're dating, just having fun, getting to know them.
Okay, I'm going to close out with my words of wisdom.
Okay.
Before we get there.
He's going to...
Before we get there, because what you just said, it was a nugget.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So when I was ready to move to that next step called marriage, I tested the waters. I did. There were subtle questions. Like, what is your idea? What does a family look like to you? I said that.
Yeah.
Right. She didn't know I was trying to see if we're gonna match. What's a family to you? Right. What does it take to build this? I'm asking these questions because now I'm thinking about moving to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm testing the waters to make sure that if I'm gonna ask her, that we starting out on the same point.
Yeah.
And then she started sharing. Then she started asking questions. And then at some point I said, you know what? This is subconsciously. I never had this conversation. I said, wow, this looks like somebody. Then I said in another conversation, if somebody like me were to ask you to get married, what would you say?
Yes,
I did.
Yes, he did.
Still testing because I don't want. Listen, the fear of rejection is real.
It is. It is. Yes,
right?
sir.
Now, hey, for those of you who have been on, this is my second marriage, y'all, and I was not going to enter this marriage failing.
Come on now.
Right? Yes, so somebody like me, and I listed some qualities to ask you to get married. What would you say? Well, I say yes. I said, well, okay. I'm thinking about it, right? I didn't say I'm going to. I said, I'm thinking about it. And she said, I am too. I said, well, okay. So once I got that, then I went up and set up the mood, and I went to the place to pop the question. Because when I popped the question, I pretty knew the answer was going to be yes. Because I tested it. I did my Dr. Piper. I did my beta test.
Okay.
I tested the waters, put my toe in it, make sure the temperature was right.
Okay.
So that's my word.
That's good. That's good, sir.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I guess I'm giving my words of wisdom.
Yeah.
And you know,
put your toe in the water.
Okay. We're showing we're having
my
fun.
God, people. My God.
We're just having fun. Love it.
You know, every time I get on the show, it's gonna be crazy.
It's fun, Dad. It's fun.
Yeah. So with that, as we're showing our words of wisdom, I want to say, as I told Tanya and Phoenix, who just got married, make sure you like that person, you love that person. Make sure you pray and ask God, is this a person for me? And as you said, test the waters. And I want to go back to how you opened up for those who didn't hear when we first started out. She did a quote from Ursher.
Yeah.
To like yourself. In a relationship, any healthy relationship, you got to like you.
Yeah.
Like yourself. Because if you like you, you're able to like somebody else. And another thing that we teach in healthy relationship, if you're not having fun and that person is putting you down, belittling you, making you feel bad about yourself, is not building you, is not adding any value, and you are always pouring in and never getting poured into, she's up right there, then you have to ask yourself, it does not change once you get married.
Yes.
So you want someone who's going to build into you, pour into you, and you want to pour into them. It's reciprocated. You feel respect. You feel loved. You feel appreciated. You feel valued. You feel, look at me. You feel seen. I see you.
Okay. All right now.
You want to make
You feel
sure
seen. I love that.
it's important because if
She
you're in
said
a
we have to define
relationship,
fun.
oh, you have to define fun. Yes, because everybody's fun is not fun.
Everyone's fun
Okay.
is not fun.
No, that is so true because
That is so true.
that is Dr. Dochi.
That is
Man,
so true.
somebody highlight that question.
My
because
God.
That's
is
why
so
you have
true.
to talk to each other.
To me, when we first started dating, I like to go to the symphony, to the
Orchestra.
the orchestra, to the operas as
Operas,
well.
oh,
Operas.
Lord.
But he did it because I liked it. So what's fun for me is walking, holding hands. That wasn't comfortable for him. For him, it could be a game or doing something else. You got to find out, but you got to share what's fun for you.
Yes.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna put a PS on the end of my
your word for the soul, because you did yours already. He already did his.
Listen, when we started dating and decided to get together, there was a look that I had that built my reputation as far as in the military. I looked like the perfect soldier. My uniform was pressed. My boots was shined.
Honey.
I was in leadership position. I had a way to carry myself.
He can step out of them and drop them. They still stand.
Right. Right. I spent hours getting myself ready for the week. Right. I starched my uniform.
Yes, he did.
I said to her,
that was attractive for me.
When we got together, if you're gonna be with me, this is a look you have to have.
Oh, but real quick before you finish, I hold that thought. Because we talked about he was dressed. Subconsciously, my father always ironed. Our clothes were always sharp. I saw something in him that reminded me of a father that was present, that was loving, that was caring. So I saw a quality that I didn't actually realize that was I saw in him. So sometimes when you have something good in your family's history of your own dialogue, you're going to think about that in your relationship.
Man, it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. I can tell you about buying our first set of furniture.
Yeah.
That's another conversation. However, that's a deep conversation. It frustrated the mess out of me. It did. However, back to my point. So
we almost finished.
I said to her, yeah, we are. I said, bring your uniform to me.
Yes, you did.
And I'll get your uniform to my level.
I loved it.
So when she stepped out, she looked just as good as me. So when we walked
down
the street, people say they belong together. They look like they're together. And I protected my scenery. I protected my environment. And things that was not in my environment could not come in that environment.
That's true.
Y'all work with that. Y'all work with that. Work with that. Play with that, y'all. Let Donna make that make sense to some folks. No. I say that intentionally. Don't let other people change your environment. That's not supposed to be in that environment.
I agree. That's good. Look, y'all, I don't know about y'all, but this has been phenomenal. And we have other questions that we have to dive into. But the singles would like to ask you guys to look at your calendars for September. We would love to have you guys on as our guests so we can finish the remaining questions.
Okay.
We want to finish it, but we want to do it on our singles ministry when we meet. So if you are on here and you don't know when we are meeting, right now we have it scheduled for September 13th at 7 p.m. That's what is tentatively scheduled as. But because our bishop and overseers stay busy, we will work on their schedule. But if you would like to hear the rest of these questions answered, join our True Vine Singles Ministry, and you will get to hear and even ask them from yourself how you can relax, relace, and release as your single edition part of your life right now. But again, thank you to my beautiful parents, my spiritual leaders, my guests. You guys were amazing. This was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I mean, y'all gave me some great stuff. But I pray that something was said, and we're going to have Bishop close out in prayer. And then next week, I will be the host again. I will be having my best friend from 6th grade. We will be getting on here. We're going to talk about Power in Purses. It is an organization that we put together And we're going to talk to you about it. We are going to do it again this year. We took a break because of COVID, but we are getting ready to go back in full force, and we want to introduce and reintroduce Power in Purses. So again, thank you guys so much. And Bishop, I will turn into your hands to close us out in prayer.
Well, thank you, Elder Tara, for hosting us and having your special guests. We really do appreciate the questions. They were good questions, and we'd be glad to be part of the singles journey and the questions, and to break that out and thresh it out a little further without time constraints.
Right.
So yes, looking forward to that.
I was trying to put the singles flyer in the chat, but it's on my phone.
Yeah.
But you can go to
we'll make sure to post it when it's time.
Yes.
Yes. We'll keep the posting and keep y'all, because I'm serious. This is really good. So if you really want to hear some more and to grow some more, join us. We would love to have you on when we get on Zoom for our singles ministry.
All right. Well, thank
All
you.
right.
Let me close out.
You want a prayer? Yes.
Let us pray. First, let me thank everybody that signed on. I know there's people we call their names because we see their names in the comments. Excuse me, but I realize there's other people who signed on that never made a comment, so we don't call your name because we don't know you there who your name, but we do acknowledge your presence.
And thank you for joining us today. And
So,
continue. Join us next week.
yeah. So let us pray. Gracious and loving God, as we come to the close of this program, this wonderful topic of understanding singleness. That singleness is not a death sentence. Singleness is not saying there's something wrong with you. Singleness gives an opportunity for us to refine us and to define us. Singleness is an opportunity for us to spend more time with you. Singleness is an opportunity for us to enjoy life before we move into that next level. So we thank you for the questions. We thank you for the audience. We thank you for the singles ministry who put these questions together. Yeah. We pray that something was said for their benefits that will help them to hold on to and not give up hope. As we said today in our preaching, that faith has something to work with when there's hope involved.
Yeah.
Without hope, faith has nothing. So God, we continue to pray for their hope. Those are hoping to be married. Those are hoping for the next level. The next person that comes in their life is the one. Let's keep the hope burning brightly, but we'll put some parameters around this hope so the hope don't get dashed and be turned into disappointment. So we ask you, God, to bless us now as we say to our audience, we thank you. We thank you, God, for being part of this conversation.
Yes.
And thank you for Elder Tara hosting this and the boldness to come forward and to break open these questions. We say thank you now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I am Elder Tara Alexander. Thank you again for joining us for Words for the Soul. God bless.